lecturers and admin. This is because these people have interacted with the curriculum for at least 1 year for the second year students, and therefore they should be having some feedback about it. So we got ethical approval, and then we invited the students and the staff to participate. We did an online survey, so we used Google Forms. So the questionnaire that we shared through the Google Forms was a 5-part Likert, or comprised 5-part Likert skill statements. So they rated on a scale of 1 to 5 whether they agreed with the positively worded statements. So this tells you that the higher the score, the positive the agreement. So that would be considered as a strength of the curriculum. So we considered agreement or strongly agreement, or rather agreeing or strongly agreeing as a strength. Then if you expressed neutrality or disagreement or strong disagreement, we consider that a weakness. So based on the Ardenn's 10 questions, we didn't ask the first 2 questions because that's already provided in the curriculum, the needs and also the aims of the curriculum. So, and then we combined some so that we would shorten the questionnaire given the time or the attention span of most people. So we ended up with 6 categories or sub-skills. So based on that, I won't discuss the demographics considering that we have time limits. But most of the respondents were the diploma in pharmacy students. And most of the staff were actually teaching, and they were teaching pharmacology units. So we found out that the staff and the students didn't have significant differences in what they expressed as strengths and weaknesses of the curriculum on the 6 sub-skills. Then we found several strengths of the curriculum. Most of them are about the education environment, the course content, and the teaching methods. For the weaknesses, and this is where I wanted to dwell on a lot because this presents opportunities for improvement.
You have 1 minute more.
Thank you. So the weaknesses dwell on the technological aspects. So availability of information on the portal, imparting of information computer skills. Then there is the issue of sufficiency of the number of lecturers, and this was particularly expressed by students, and also staff actually, and then the availability of instructional media. And then regarding the education environment, there were concerns regarding placement sites, their sufficiency. So there were concerns that they are not sufficient, and then some expressed that poor students were struggling because they couldn't access scholarships and grants from the provisions of the curriculum. So we concluded and recommended that if we strengthen those areas of the curriculum, and then also if we engage the end users of the curriculums, who are the students and the lecturers, we could improve the end product or the output of the training. Thank you.
Let's clap for all our presenters, please. Thank you. Let's give them a clap. We have not clapped for them. They have done a good job. Thank you very much. I would like us to now ask questions from our first presenter, who was Professor Caroline. If you have anything that you wanted to ask to the others who have presented, we had Cecilia and Dongia, who has presented on financial accessibility. We had the parental involvement, Dr. Mercy Piranira. We had Taha Kiki, yeah, usimulishi. That one I need to have Dr. Tias tell us about it. And then we had finally, the alignment of a diploma in pharmacy curriculum at a medical training college. So those who have questions, please make sure that you direct to the presenter. Any questions?
Thank you, my co-chair. The first question goes to Caroline. First and foremost, thank you for coming and shedding some light on what really happens in Mississippi University. I've seen there's a lot of correlation with our university. So you talked about community engagement and you highlighted certain components that are earmarked by the university to be part of that community engagement kind of discourse. You talked about reciprocal attributes, reflection, dissemination, and you also talked about the aspect of community also being involved in various aspects that you are embarking on. So the question is, how do you draw similarities with what really happens in Mississippi University and our university, that is Mary University of Science and Technology? And what are some of the best practices that we can inculcate in our university now that we have seen a bit of similarities between Mississippi and Mary University of Science and Technology? The other question goes to Cecilia Waweru. Cecilia, perhaps you can elaborate or shed some light on the contribution of your study to the body of knowledge. You just elaborate on what is the key contribution of your study to the body of knowledge. Then Mercy Nkatha, what guided you in choosing your unit of observation? This has to do with the participants that you engaged in your study. So what guided you in choosing those respondents? Then there is also a question to the last presenter, that is Gidinchi. You have talked about use of Likert scale questions. I would like to know, how did you analyze the Likert scale questions? Did you use descriptive analysis? Did you also confine yourself to the mean and standard deviation? And what are the convergence and divergence of the values that you have deduced from your analysis? Then the last question, which I may struggle, goes to Mitambo Evangeline McKenna. Ni nini ilikuchochea kufanya kazi hii ya utafiti? Asante.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay, thank you. We have somebody there.
Thank you for the opportunity, Prof. And I would wish to direct my question to Professor Caroline. Thank you for the presentation, which was thrilling and educative. And we saw in one of your ways of converting the classroom work to industry. We have seen some of the videos that you have done. Now my question is, at our level, in the community, where affording such things is a bit hard, if we incorporate our lessons and make some materials out of boxes, raw scissors, what we can afford, is there a way of linking so that we can get identified with Mississippi and other areas, so that at least it's not just disseminating knowledge alone, but we can benefit from what the creative learners can do? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You move this way. Can here, please, here. After that, we come to Dr. Tiras here.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Nkatha. My question is directed to Dr. Mrs. Romera. In your presentation, you said that your sample size was 36 teachers. Isn't that a very small sample? And, or is it okay? Is it what guided you to pick 36 only? Swali langu la pili ni kuhusu utafiti uliofanywa na mwanafunzi wa usamifu Dorcas Musiemi. Na nimefurahi kuona kwamba mwalimu wake pia alikuwa mwalimu wangu. Huyo Daktari Alan Mugambi. Swali langu ni hili. Na ninakaribiana sana na lile la mwalimu aliyouliza. Swala la utafiti ni gani? What was the statement of your problem? Or what is the problem that you are researching? Ni hayo tu.
So that's good. Sasa swali ni je, umeleta swala la fasihi ya watoto na mada ya ama kauli mbiu ya kongamano hili inahusiana na kutia jamii nguvu. Sasa mada yako ina mchango gani ya fasihi ya watoto katika jamii? Hilo ndilo swali langu.
Thank you very much. Finally, we'll give Dr.
Stand on that, especially to the young pupils in the early age. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, the last presenter about the curriculum. I'm wondering how you, from your study, I heard you finally talk about poor students struggling to raise fees. How did that really get connected to the curriculum revision and all that? Maybe I'll reserve the others for another day, the other questions, and ask the presenters, beginning with the Professor Caroline, to answer the questions in brief, please. All of us, we are going to answer in brief. Thank you very much.
I will stand and answer. So, to your question on how to incorporate that mirroring what Mississippi State does and must. Again, both the land-grant universities, very similar work. What has happened to Mississippi State, again, looking at faculty and how we get focused on what we need to do, it's changed from the administrative position where this is trickling down to faculty from administration. So doing this kind of work is acknowledged. So again, it's like a feather in your hat. So if MUST can put that in your promotion packet so that when I did it, there wasn't something like that. But now it's being acknowledged. So when it comes that way, then faculty are easily encouraged to be able to do this work because yes, it's good for the students, it's good for industry, but also it's rewarded. So if the university can reward such work that faculty are doing, that would be good. So that's what I would suggest, that it comes from top to reward faculty. The next two questions are similar, how we can collaborate and how we can partner. Obviously, like the student exchange, but student exchange requires money. I do study abroad, so we can collaborate and see how we can maybe write grants and do some student, because when I did study abroad to Kenya, I brought the students on a grant. So we can figure that out. But also there's a program, I haven't done it, but a friend of mine that is also from Kenya just finished doing it, and I have been thinking of doing it. It's called COIL, C-O-I-L, and what it stands for is Collaborative Online Interactive Learning. So what happens is if I'm teaching a class that is similar to what Dr. Mungania is teaching, we do like a virtual. So my students and her students do the class. I know there's time difference, but we work on that. So she was teaching together with a faculty member online using what we call the COIL program. And that can be like our first initial kind of type of collaboration. So I just learned about it, and it's something I'm considering doing. Again, this is easier because it's not much money required, but then there are also grants out there that we can write possibly and do maybe a student exchange. Those are my two recommendations. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. MUSTIC4, please.
Thank you. The first question was what guided me in the choice. Grade 1 to 3. Maybe first to explain that a lot of research has been done in higher levels. Yesterday we listened to very many presentations on parental involvement in many things in education, and we saw a gap here. Then the other thing is that the young children are actually the parents of tomorrow. We have a lot of struggle in the environment and all this, and that is why they need to really get the importance of environmental conservation from the early years. So that is why we decided to study the early class. I will also give Tiras a chance to say something about this. Now, the choice of 36 teachers, this goes to the sampling. Actually, we had 12 schools, which is more than 10% of the schools in the sub-county that we studied. And that's, there we had 12 schools, and from there we have grade 1, 2, 3. That led us to pick a teacher from every grade. So we ended up with 36. Simply the curiosity comes from trying to understand what does this that's home and all that. I think Dr. can add something. They might have left something.
It's also good to understand that it's only grade, that is PP1, PP2, grade 1, 2, and 3, where environmental education is a subject. In other areas, environmental education is integrated in curriculum. So in these grades, that is PP1, PP2, grade 1, 2, and 3, these are subjects. Actually, it's a subject independent. We also did another paper last year, which was published, that is this May, And we discovered there might be a gap, because we were analyzing how environmental education has been tackled in the curriculum. And now we discovered that there's a gap between practice and the curriculum. So we wanted to see the implementation. There was a gap in implementation. You know, to write something in the curriculum is one story, and to implement is another one. So we picked the parents who are critical in implementation of the curriculum. We pinpointed the parents as the key stakeholders, which means we were also addressing the gap which we had realized in another research done last year. Yeah.
Thank you. So the next person with the question was? Yes, please.
Okay, Cecilia here. My question was the key contribution to this to the body of study. Number one is that since these findings were also gotten from empirical evidence, it is adding more to the body. The barriers. Thank you.
Evangeline, please answer your questions.
Ungwa kutokana na tenzi zile na vitabu vile vimeelekezwa kwa adhira ya watoto ambao ni wachanga na uelewa wao ni tofauti na ule wa tenzi. Nilipata kichocheo cha kuchunguza vitabu vile, nitazame nione iwapo vitabu vile vinazingatia uelewa wa watoto na ni kwa namna gani tenzi zimeweza kubadilishwa ili zikaweze kupitisha ule utamaduni wa Afrika kwa watoto wa kizazi cha leo, na ni mambo gani ama ni mabadiliko gani yameweza kufanywa katika vitabu vile. Kwa hivyo suala langu la utafiti lilikuwa ama the gap ama lile pengo ambalo lilikuwa pale ni je, waandishi wa vitabu hivi, kwa mfano kitabu kimoja kilikuwa kimependekezwa na wakuza mitaala kutumiwa na wanafunzi wa darasa la 6 na la 7. Kwa hivyo nilitaka kuchunguza ili kuona iwapo vitabu vile vinazingatia sifa za fasihi ya watoto. Swali la pili ni kwa namna gani utafiti huu utachangia katika jamii. Kwanza kabisa matokeo yake yanaweza kutoa mwanga kwa wakuza mitaala ili labda wanapochagua ama teua vitabu kwa matumizi ya watoto, hasa vitabu ambavyo vimeandikwa kutokana na fasihi nyingine, waweze kutazama iwapo vitabu vile vinazingatia zile sifa ambazo zinafaa kwa adhira changa ambayo ni watoto. Asante.
Finally, we had, what was the name? Cecilia, Caroline was not there, but Kibinji was there. Please.
Version, we calculated interquartile ranges. That's why you saw that, for example, for strengths, we considered the median that is 4 or 5 to be a strength, but it must have an interquartile range of 0 so that there will be no a lot of variations. And then for comparisons across groups, for example, between student ratings and teachers' ratings, we compared two groups using Mann-Whitney U-tests, because this is again parametric, non-parametric. Then for 3 or more groups, we used Kruskal-Wallis tests. The second question, at what stage do you involve the students? We collected data from second years onwards, because they are the ones who have at least been exposed to the curriculum. And our assumption is that by the time someone comes to do a course, for example, the diploma in pharmacy course, they already know what they want to be trained into. So once they get exposed to the curriculum for 1 year or so, they got a grasp of whether this really meets the needs that we
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Karambu Gatimbu. I'm presenting assessing the sustainability of affordable housing programs in Kenya. From the Department of Business Studies, University of Embu. Housing is a basic social condition, as also categorized as a physiological needs according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the lack of housing creates apprehension within people. And that's why you find that governments have applied various programs and projects in order to alleviate housing inaccessibility. In Africa, only about 3% can afford a mortgage, while in Kenya, it's only about 11%. And housing, of course, is also incorporated in SGD 3 and 11. SGD 3 talks about well-being, and 11, sustainable cities and communities. And the deterrent to housing, of course, is the cost of financing, the housing input cost, and the cost of land. Housing affordability is just the ratio between the household disposable income and the housing prices. And rapid urbanization poses a significant challenge of accommodating the poor, the low-income earners, and to some extent, the middle-income earners. Because we find out that 22% of Kenyans live in the cities, and this urban population is growing at the rate of 4.2% annually. And it's estimated that around the demand for housing is around 250,000 new units per year, but what is available now is 50,000 homes. So this gives us a deficit of around 200 units per year. Housing, of course, is very important to the economy. It leads to the growth of the GDP. It also leads to creation of jobs. We find that around 3 to 5 new jobs are created directly and 8 jobs indirectly. It also leads to formalization of the informal sector through the ring fencing strategies. But what is not talked about is housing sustainability. And we know that sustainability is a key component in the world today. Everywhere we go, we talk about sustainability. And that is the motivation for this study. Sustainability can be defined from the Brundtland Commission of 1987 as meeting the needs of the present generation without jeopardizing the needs of the future generations. Sustainability encompasses 3 dimensions, that is the social, the environmental, and the economic. So sustainability is still a new concept among the public, the general public in Kenya, and research within the Kenyan context on sustainability of housing is unexplored. And therefore, the reason why I did the study is to find if we can have some policy implications on the affordable housing program. Affordable housing program was incorporated. It's a key pillar for the Vision 2030. And in the previous administration, it was under the Big Four agenda. In the current administration, is under the better, bottom-up economic transformation. My research area is in 2 counties, namely Meru and Embu County, and the reason for that is the long-standing housing needs in this region. I did a descriptive research design. I collected primary data cross-sectionally. I had 212 respondents encompassing academia, the general public, and the contractors. My form of analysis were, I did a factor analysis to get the principal components, and later I did a GLM regression. For those are the descriptive statistics as postulated there. And then for the social criteria, we find that people ranked safety and security, health facilities, and electricity as top for them, and aspects such as lift ranked last. On the economic criteria, housing affordability, rental costs in relation to income, housing prices in relation to income were ranked the highest. Aspects of mortgage and interest rates are ranked lowest. On the environmental criteria, aspects of environmental health, that is, of course, encompassing aspects of waste management, sustainable construction.
You have 3 minutes.
Air quality. I did a factor analysis, and the social criteria produced 7 factors. The economic criteria produced 4 factors, and the environmental criteria produced 6 factors. These factors are the ones that have an eigenvalue of more than 1. The GLM regression also provided the results as stipulated, the economic factors and the environmental factors. So conclusion, significant differences between counties were observed for most social factors, with Meru generating community-oriented amenities and infrastructure higher, while Embu rated specific housing attributes such as housing quality and privacy higher. Economically, housing affordability was consistently ranked highest, alongside rental cost and rental income. Environmentally, environmental health, waste management, and sustainable constructions were highly valued. Of the 7 factors, which maybe were accessibility, urban infrastructure, basic amenities, living conditions, housing unit. For economic, we had housing finance, housing affordability, economic opportunities, development cost. For environment, we had sustainable construction, land management, environmental health, pollution control. For the GLM regression, we found that higher education levels particularly postgraduate and PhD, positively influenced factors related to accessibility, family amenities, and sustainable environmental practices. Older age groups generally had varied impact, showing positive associations with housing structure and security, but negative association with sustainable construction. Contractors and general public significantly impacted housing unit features and affordability. Years worked also showed diverse effects, with longer tenure negatively impacting certain economic and environmental factors. These findings highlight the complex interplay between demographic profiles and perceptions of housing quality across different dimensions, providing valuable insight for targeted policy intervention. Recommendation 1, enhanced policy integration of sustainability criteria as a critical success factor. Number 2, community participation from design to implementations of these houses. And 3, long-term financing models that incorporate green instruments. Thank you. This research was funded by the University of Embu VC's grant.
Thank you for your presentation. Can we have the next presenter? The next presenter is John Kimanthi. You'll be followed by Ampri Mwenda. Mwenda, are you around? Okay.
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Kabere Robert Mangati. I'll be presenting a paper co-authored with my good friend Dr. Kanada from the School of Computing and Informatics, the Department of Information and Media Studies. The title of the paper is a socio-political assessment of Okolea, or in brackets, rescue program as a sustainable development model for community development. This is a program which was being run on Baite TV, owned by the immediate former governor of Meru, as a program for community development. The problem statement, the paper examines how vernacular television using indigenous language can be used to mobilize the community for sustainable development. As you know, Kenya has a variety of ethnic groups, and every ethnic group has its indigenous language radio or TV station. You can see now, when we use that for development, then we can be able to develop all counties, because not everyone is educated, so that he or she can get information concerning development from the ministry media, which usually uses English and Kiswahili. When we use the local language, we are able to get everyone on the train of development, that we can use very understandable language and very simple messaging strategies to bring development, to communicate development, so that we can bring everyone on board. And when we bring everyone on board, then development is sustainable. It will help the current generation and the future generations. When we talk about sustainability, we talk about the environment, the community, and the economy. If we impact positively the economy, the community, and the environment, then that is sustainable development. Now, when you look at most researchers on development journalism, it has concentrated on mainstream radio and television, where most researchers has been about the ownership, media ownership, the gender in media, because also when you talk about sustainability, we need to focus on gender. You find that there's a lot of gender imbalance in media, whereby you find women are not represented fully in media. You find that most media bosses and executives are men. Women are just given the roles of presenters. So when you look at that, then there exists a gap on contribution of local radios or vernacular stations in fostering sustainable community development. That is the gap that this study sought to fill. Now, the problem statement is anchored on the premise that media plays different roles in the society. We say media is very, very important, and most cases it's called the fourth estate. It's not called the fourth estate just for the sake of it. It's because it's very powerful. So the problem statement is anchored on the roles. And these roles are education, we have programs on TV, radio, we have online teaching and all that, then entertainment, also information giving, democracy, where different political players come and give their different political opinions. The media allows that so that you can have democracy. The just concluded Gen Z demonstrations. We talk about, they always talk about democracy, where everyone should be given a chance. Also, the media is a watchdog of the community by expressing injustice and also managing public opinion. Now, how is a vernacular TV station? How are they connected to development, social development? So, vernacular media or vernacular television stations use indigenous language, language that is understood by locals, where they can call experts who know the language, and then they can speak to them in their own language. So through that, people can get development communication. They can mobilize using the languages that they can understand. And most local media or vernacular TV and radio stations are in the grassroots. And therefore they are able to mobilize people in the grassroots for development. And we talked about development, empowerment. It should start from the local environment, where we talked about social sciences, our research to be multidisciplinary. So the TV stations are very effective and how in contribution of sustainable development agendas. Now, our research objective was to find the role and effectiveness of vernacular television programs in community development. And also another objective was to find out the strategies employed by vernacular television stations to mobilize the community for development. The variables were the independent variable and the standard were the vernacular TV programs and the audience, while the independent variable is social development, because social development depends on the TV station, content, and the audience. So our research methodology was used to glean or to see whether media content has been and can be used to impact socio-economic development. The study was carried out in a selected vernacular TV station in Meru County, that is Baite TV. The study employing descriptive research design.
You have 2 minutes.
Using qualitative and quantitative study design. The respondents who were purposely selected from 4 out of the 9 counties, sub-counties, that is Gembe South, Chigan East, Imid North, and Meru Central. The sample comprised of 400 questionnaires, 100 administered to each sub-county, and we used simple random sampling to select 100 viewers for the questionnaires which were used in the study. Now let's look at the strategies by the TV station to communicate our development to the community. Now, the TV uses unique strategies that integrate stations programs within the community. That means the programs are integrated with the community values, community needs, and what they deem necessary for development to take root. The TV station sets the agenda by identifying or focusing on needy persons and valuing other people to assist them. Results and discussions. We found that the majority of residents own TV sets. That is why this initiative of using TV station programs for community development can take root and is effective because most of the residents can watch